And ladies and gentlemen,
I didn't know we were doing an intro.
Oh my God.
We talked about this.
With your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wild, and Jesse Blake.
Hi, it's us.
We went over the intro for how it was going to play out for 30 minutes.
when?
For the last 30 minutes before
Sorry.
the show.
I'm peeing.
That's what we were figuring out.
So I'm sorry.
Adam, I'm on Jesse's side here. You're wrong.
Wow.
Son of a
Even
gun. Don't remember
Steve knew.
I
did we go with
that's
this?
a good point.
Hey,
I'm
I was
stupid.
sitting in this room alone. There was nobody here telling me anything. Did you do it? If you guys were talking to Drew about it, didn't do me a lot of good.
Drew and I literally did it over the mic like 10 seconds
I had
ago.
no headphones for that.
Maybe you should
I'm
sign some better
listening out
listening.
loud.
Literally everybody else's fault and not mine. Okay, this is everybody's fault. I'm kidding. Hi everybody. Welcome to Free Agency on SDPN, brought to you by 888 Casino and 888 Sport, 888 Canada, guys. And let's talk about the fact that 888 is a really great place, obviously, to do your casino, to do your betting for your sports, but also the 888 Canada YouTube page, where you can see Steve get pied in the face.
If you want to see how hairy my just above the bum area is, head on over to the
Is
888
that supposed to
Canada
sell this?
YouTube channel.
That's something everybody wants to see, obviously.
Oh man. So what the Smack Talk trivia was a game that you guys played, and then something that's coming up very soon is Real Rumble.
Yes.
Who can play the most playing online slots and casino games, pro wrestling style belt awarded.
Yeah, but the slots we had to play with it features zoo animals, and you'd think like Steve would be great at that because there's zoo involved.
Sure.
No,
Yeah, but like animal knowledge doesn't like help.
it might.
No.
Should have.
No, it just helps you. It actually distracted me because I'm
Yeah.
like, there's a giraffe. Their gestational period is longer, and they have a heart the size of a basketball, and all that stuff.
None of the zebras had 5 legs.
No, Chaka the 5-legged zebra.
No.
No.
Hey, so thank you to 888 Canada for jumping on and being a sponsor here. Now let's talk a little bit of free agency. We'll start with the Toronto Maple Leafs, who did make a lot of waves today. Brad Treliving is actually speaking to the media right now.
Mhm.
And one of the things that he said was, listen, as far as defense goes, I'd rather have too many than too few. And it seems like they have too many. When you look at it,
Yes.
it's a great position to be in. Riley, Tanev, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Jake McCabe, Simon Benoit, Timothy Liljegren, and Yanni Hakanpää. And I would include Cade Weber in that too.
Yep, absolutely. Adam, I just want to say I'm so distracted by the golden hour sun you're getting behind you.
Thank you.
Because we never record at this time.
Yeah.
And like, hot damn, you're gorgeous.
Thank you. I
You're
appreciate
gorgeous
that.
right now.
I like being hot.
Hey, if Timothy Liljegren is a healthy scratch next year, is anyone shocked?
It wouldn't be great. You shouldn't be scratching. You shouldn't have $3 million in the press box.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So like I look at that and you give me the right side. McCabe Benoit was a pairing they were very happy with last year.
Right.
They were very happy with it. If they ever go back to it, all of a sudden you open that door. Hakanpää, I think, is maybe going to sit some games. Benoit is going to sit some games. But Treliving is right. You'd rather have too many than too few. The problem is he's talking about like, oh yeah, I got a couple depth signings in the hopper. Who knows? Maybe they'll break during the show. I hope they do. We've heard some other rumors about guys they might get up front. They're over the cap
Yeah, that's okay.
right now.
And they
They're
still gotta
allowed to be
re-sign-
over the cap in the summer.
Connor Dewar doesn't have a contract. Nick Robertson doesn't want to sign one, but doesn't have one.
Yeah.
We'll get to them in a second.
Sure.
But yeah, they have some depth signings. There's going to be a trade here, guys.
Yes,
There has to be.
You would think
You
so.
would hope so, because right now they're running back the exact same forward group minus Tyler Bertuzzi and Noah Gregor.
Mhm.
Like everything else has stayed the same. They re-signed Domi, and then everybody else has been signed. So I'm like, where's the change here in the one flaw that the Leafs had during the playoffs, which is they couldn't score, and they decided to not upgrade the scoring.
Not just not upgrade it. So they're giving out an extra over $7 million in raises next season to their forward core, and their forward core is what it was last year minus Tyler Bertuzzi.
And they're spending more money.
And they're spending more money. They have erased the amount of money they're getting by the salary cap increasing, and then some. And then they've also handed out $2.2 million in raises on their back end to Liljegren and Benoit. Then they added to that, like all the money that they saved on Brody, like that's gone.
Yeah.
Labushkin, that's gone.
So, like, my question to you guys and my question to like the universe is, why is Brad so fixated on the defense when the forward groups is the issue?
Well, I actually have an answer on that one, if I could.
Okay.
One of the issues that we had in the playoffs specifically, and Jesse, you talked about it in a video that I don't know even if it's dropped on the SDPN channel yet, because we're still working through some of them. Is the fact that the Leafs could not score in the playoffs last year, right?
Yeah.
Or 3 months ago. It's not last year, last season. And part of the issue for that is outside of Morgan Rielly, who really was a puck mover. When Morgan Rielly wasn't playing, who was running the power play?
This was the problem when Liljegren was out of the lineup because he didn't earn a spot in the lineup. Then they couldn't move the puck at all.
Right.
And it's like, okay, got to put him back in.
So where I like this is, and again, you have to take positives and negatives here. Oliver Ekman-Larsson, you can we'll talk about the contract and how much money he's made in a second here. But we do know this. Watched a lot of Oliver Ekman-Larsson hockey because he was in the playoffs for 4 rounds. Moves the puck.
When the Panthers needed a goal, he was out there like ahead of Montour and Forsling and Ekblad. I was surprised, frankly.
Valuable.
And then he scored too.
So if you've got 3 guys through the lineup, Rielly, Ekman-Larsson, and ideally Liljegren on the third pair, that seems to be pretty good puck movement up to the forwards. And that was
Tanev's not useless.
So
in
that's
that regard.
That's problem 1.
Yeah.
I agree with you on the second problem here, but here's where I think things differ. I think that the Leafs, like every NHL team, need to rely on some of their younger guys to take a step. I'm speaking specifically about Matthew Knies, who played his first full season last year. Looked good at times, looked iffy, or not iffy, but just at other times. Got lots of opportunities, still had 35 points, but when he got to the playoffs, boy, does that guy get it. And I look at him, I look at Bobby McMahon, and I go, okay, those are guys that if Bobby McMahon had played a full year, would he got to 20 goals? I think so, maybe. And I would I would have included Nick Robertson in that too, who I think is a lock for 20 goals wherever he plays next year.
Especially if it's not the Leafs.
Right. And we're talking about depth scoring. We obviously, for any of this to work, the top 4 guys on the team need to be scoring the lights out most nights. Right?
Yeah.
So we know that. Let's take that off the table. So they solved problem 1. But problem 2, I think you have a really good point, Jesse, in the sense that, okay, outside of those top 4, which, teams have been able to ISO in the past and shut them down, or they get injured or whatever, who's going to score? And like I said, you're hoping for Bobby McMahon. Maybe you're hoping for Matthew Knies. Like Matthew Knies, 35 points last year. Could he get 50 this year?
Well, how about this? Not pessimistically, not optimistically, just logically. Tavares takes a step back.
I think that's pretty much
he's a year closer to 40.
Yeah.
So someone has to step up and then some, right? Like you're just digging the hole. Obviously, this isn't a complete body of work. It's only July 1st. Relax. The cup is not handed out today or in August, Ottawa. But there are still, I like some of the things they did. I think they can sort of dust their hands off when it comes to the defense. Up front, a lot of question marks.
Now, if they've got some depth signings in the hopper, I wonder if one of them is their own Connor Dewar. He's an RFA with arbitration rights. Probably want to get it done before the ARB hearing because that was the reason they wanted to get Liljegren done so badly. If you read Jonas Siegel's piece on it, if he had gone to arbitration, he probably would have been awarded somewhere in the neighborhood of 3.5 or higher.
Connor Dewar?
Not Connor Dewar. Sorry, Timothy Liljegren as well. I don't know what not Connor Dewar. Connor Dewar, though, I mean, I don't know what he comes in at, but you're probably going to want to keep it as low as possible.
Yeah, he had a decent enough season with Minnesota. He came to Toronto. He had 10 goals. I don't remember if he ever actually scored a goal.
1 goal with Toronto.
He did? Okay. Hey, look at him go.
4 assists in 17 games.
And a breakaway in Game 7. He did not score.
I'm surprised that this hasn't been done already. Like in Minnesota, this first time around on his first contract, he made $825. The second contract, he made $800. Is this not just a $900,000 player?
Nah, I don't necessarily think they're grinding him or anything. I think they just had lots of other issues to deal with.
Okay.
And he's a restricted free agent. And because of that, there's no rush.
Right.
Someone wants to friggin' offer sheet Connor Dewar, I think you let him, right?
It wouldn't even get to the compensation level because you can.
I don't even know.
You can offer sheet somebody is so low that there's no compensation. I don't think the compensation would hit for Dewar.
It'd be now. I want someone to do it
Just for lulz.
just because it's funny.
Yeah.
I just want someone to do it. No, yeah, like you're trying to retain Bertuzzi, you didn't. You did retain Domi. You extended Wool. I think, even though you still had another year of him, that's got to be a bigger priority for you than Connor Dewar. You added Oliver Ekman-Larsson. You added Yanni Hakanpää. You added Anthony Stolarz, which is a big deal.
Not insignificant at all.
No, and like all these issues are adding up to Connor. You can wait.
Yeah.
The adding a puck moving defenseman and puck moving D, I think, is a very interesting point because, like, I've been on the side of you got to shake things up, and where they're missing is the high end defense. And if you had like people like Evan Bouchard, who are high end scoring defensemen, if you have that on this roster, that opens up the scoring in a million different ways. So they're getting nobody on that level, but lesser degrees. I would like them to see them mix up the forward group and get a high-end defenseman who can be puck moving, but that's not the route it seems like Treliving wants to go. And it brings us to the main issue of the forward group and the high-end talent, which is always in the conversation with the Leafs.
They seem to be. I've seen a lot of people talk about Connor Timmins, and like that doesn't solve it.
No,
it's not enough.
No.
So like, and people are like, well, move out Yarncroke for some. That doesn't solve it either.
No.
Move out Camp. That doesn't really solve it.
You
either.
need to give something to get something.
You got to give something to get some. So you can pick away at it, and there's like a few things you can do to have this team and have it still built around the same core 4 or core 5 who makes 61% of the salary cap this year, which is just insane to say out loud. Boy, like I don't know. I don't want to keep hammering that point. It's like, Steve, we've already heard it. We know your opinion on this, but like Tampa is spending more on their core 4 today than they were yesterday. And so is Florida. And both of them are still like not even within $8 million of the Leafs.
The Leafs continue to double down and rely on a group who has not been successful so far. And I think changing around the edges and changing the coach and whoever's on defense will change up the 4. And are we going to go into next season believing that that's the case for the 8th year in a row?
Right. Yeah, well, okay, so one of the things that really did hurt them in the playoffs last year is the goaltending was really bad.
Yep.
Sammy is now a Vegas Golden Knight. It's a prove it deal.
I can't believe that.
We still don't know what the deal is. We don't know what the terms are. We don't know how much he's making, but it's a quote unquote prove it deal. Prove it deals can be, Nazem Kadri signed a $4 million prove it deal way back in the day, so we don't actually know.
I don't think they've signed Akira Schmid either, and they lost Yuri Patera.
Oh, we'll get to Vegas. Don't worry.
No, very, very confusing situation there.
The point I want to make here is they're betting big on Joseph Woll. Let's start there. You did a video for the channel, but they are betting on Joseph Woll being worth more than the contract that they have just extended to him.
I think they're betting medium on Joseph Woll. Listen, with their cap situation, have to take risks like this. They do. The Leafs keep putting themselves in a position where it's bad when one of their players has a good year. like you were talking about, like, oh, well, Matthew Nyes, I guess he just plays full-time on line 1. Guess who's due?
Right.
Guess who's due at the end of the season? Like, if he scores 30 goals, it's like disaster. You know what I mean? So Joseph Woll, if he plays, I don't know, 45, 50, 55 games of the season, which is optimistic. He hasn't done anything close to that.
No.
But let's say he plays 46 games for the just poops and giggles. And he's a top 15 goalie when he does it.
Yep.
You're not paying him less than 4. You're going to have a hard time paying him less than 5. You know what I mean?
I know. I just feel like, again, this is my thing. I'm feeling better about it now. Now that it's 3.66, not 4 million. I don't know why that's a big deal to me. It's only 350
because it's hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I suppose.
Most people would love to make that gap.
I think it's more like we've paid a lot of people on this team before they proved anything.
Mm-hmm.
And
so let's keep doing it. They still
What
haven't.
could go wrong?
They still haven't.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I think Joseph Woll has proved some things, though. I think every postseason that he's been in, he's been the best goalie of the two because he's always played in a postseason where there's another goalie playing with him, and I think both times he's been the best goalie.
This past year, yes.
Yes.
The previous year, Sammy was decent and then got hurt.
Yeah, and then Sammy got hurt. Yes. But
He was the reason. I tell you, everyone, go back and watch, Vegas fans especially. Go back and watch Game 6, Leafs Lightning. He was incredible, and man, you keep wondering where that person went.
Yeah. Hey, there's people asking, and one of the VIPs just asked. Andrew said, "Hey, listen, if I got questions, are you guys taking them?" Yes, we are. This is a live podcast, so this is our Monday show, except that you're seeing it live, and you'll be able to listen to it recorded or view it recorded afterwards. So if you have any questions, press conference, super chat. We're going to try to get to as many as we possibly can throughout. So just so we're clear on that. Now, the thing I want to mention is obviously we have the goaltending situation. The Leafs goaltending will cost them less than Sammy cost them last year.
Wow.
Anthony Stolarz and Joseph Woll together are less than the $3.5 million that, because Woll's extension doesn't kick in until the end of next season.
Yep.
Will cost them less than Sammy did last year. Anthony Stolarz has never started more than 24 games in a season. Should we as Leaf fans be excited or nervous about that, even though he had great numbers in Florida?
I think it's a matter of, he was really good in Florida and probably should have started more games. The reason he didn't is friggin' Sergei Bobrovsky's there. And also, I don't even know if he was ever supposed to be the full-time backup because they have Spencer Knight as well.
He clearly fought and took games away from Spencer.
100%. Stolarz is a good goalie. Listen, both Stolarz and Woll have to take a step here. And they got to play more games than they ever have. That was always going to be the case. It was going to be the case if they signed Laurent Brossoit. Basically, the only guy it wasn't going to be the case for is Cam Talbot, who decided he wanted to be part of a throuple in Detroit.
no, 4 goalies.
And they got Jack Campbell too.
Yeah.
What is Steve Eisman doing?
I think Billy Husso is going to be on the move.
I don't know.
Oh, we'll see. I was on the bandwagon of Brossoit, but I'm happy with Stolarz.
Yeah.
Because I think they're in the same category of goaltender.
I think Brossoit just made more.
Yeah, it was 3.3 that Brossoit signed with Chicago, and it's 2 years, just like
And
Stolarz.
they can afford to do that.
Yeah, so Chicago can afford to pay that extra $1 million, but I'm very happy with what the potential of Stolarz is, and it's going to be cool to see him get those extra games. And I think Matt Murray there as protection is your Martin Jones this year, and last year they had to use Martin Jones and they needed him. So having Matt Murray, who's been very successful in the league way back when, having him as your third goalie, I got no problem with that. I like their trio here in goal.
If it gets to Hildeby, it gets to him. But you got to take every contingency to prevent it.
Mm-hmm.
And if it ends up, showing up and you have to do it,
right.
You've done it before and you've lived.
And they've planned for that, hopefully not to be the case. They have enough protection ahead of Hildeby, so where it'd be a truly emergency if they have to go.
Do you remember Eric Shelgren? Do you remember that he had a winning record?
Started many games at the end of the season. Yeah.
What's he doing now, do you think?
I don't know.
He's got to be like 28.
The Leafs just signed him. No.
Harry Sateri.
Harry Sateri.
Poor guy. So Anthony Stolarz, Matt Murray. We still don't know if Matt Murray has the same provision in his contract that Martin Jones did, which basically was a $100,000 signing bonus on the day that training camp ended, so that when you go on waivers, nobody picks you up.
Right. Clever.
It's very clever. And by the way, anybody that makes $776, including Joseph Woll this year, are making below league minimum. Isn't that crazy? There are a few players making $766, and they are probably $100,000 below league minimum.
Well, and one of them is now the backup goalie for the Washington Capitals. Their tandem makes under $2 million.
Crazy.
We were talking about that. Charlie Lindgren, what was it?
Let me pull it up.
1.15 or something.
Yeah, it's just it's a crazy number.
It's unbelievable. And it's I'll take both of them.
And the crazy thing about Washington is they have shot up. They're spending the most cap right now. It's Logan Thompson, Charlie Lindgren, $1.866 million on their goaltending, which is pretty wild. They are spending a lot of money in other places. Okay, if you had, Steve and Jesse, a wish list for July 2nd. Tonight I count everything after this show as July 2nd.
Leafs wish list.
Leafs wish list, right? I have a feeling I know what Jesse wants, so I'm going to start with Jesse. What's your wish list? It can include trades. It can include signings. Give me an archetypal thing that you want to see them do.
Am I allowed to say a Mitch Marner trade?
Sure.
I think that would be the number one thing on the list.
So you want a Mitch Marner trade?
I think we've had enough time to where I get you want to run it back with some new defense and not even changes to the forward group. That part doesn't really make sense to me. So I don't know. The only way you're gonna really get a huge substantial change in the lineup here is with moving out a big piece of the forward group, and that would be Mitch Marner, because I don't think there's any avenue to any of these other players in the forward group getting anything substantial back.
Right.
He's really their only asset. Like, you've outlined it a million times where you can't move JT, you're not going to move Willie, you're not going to move Austin, and nothing else, like Calle Yarncroke, Ryan Reeves, like trading any of that doesn't give you anything substantial back. And we've seen this time and time again where they need some sort of change. A new head coach isn't going to be it. Brad Treliving clearly has the same mentality that Dubas had, because that's the mentality that Brendan Shanahan has, and Brendan Shanahan is the king head honcho of this whole thing who's making these decisions. So that, I think, is the necessary number one thing for the Leafs, unfortunately.
Like, for example, okay, so you trade Ryan Reeves and you bring in someone making, let's say, $950, like a little over league minimum. Trading Ryan Reeves for like a third round pick doesn't save you $1.35 million. It doesn't save you his cap hit. You need to replace that person.
Right. You need a body.
So if you put in someone making $950, and the reason I picked that number is just because it's easier to do the math that way, it only saves you $400,000. You know, David Kampf, he makes 2.4. Is that too much? Sure. You bring in someone, 1.5. It's $900,000. Like, again, you're picking away. And I guess I'm just tired of the song and dance where they're dressing University of Toronto goalies and they're
trying to fit Matthew Nyes in the last 10 games. That was more a Dubas
playing short.
Yep.
A couple times, or like not having, like, how do you plan for the Western road trip when you can't afford to bring spares? Like, you literally can't afford to bring spare players. Where you get friggin' Homelander to scoop someone up and drive them to the, like, I'm tired of the song and dance. And it's worth mentioning. I gotta say, all the stuff that we've said about the core four recently, I can't believe the pushback. I can't believe the pushback.
Why?
They haven't won. They haven't come close to winning. They've lost 7 out of 8 playoff series, and they've got a maximum of 5 wins out of the 16 that you need to win the cup. How is there pushback to the idea that this doesn't work?
The protection for a group that has been successful in one playoff series is mind-boggling to watch.
Like, listen, we all have our favorite guys, man. Like, the argument is not that Mitch Marner is bad at hockey.
No.
You know what? Let's get McDavid too.
The mix doesn't
Let's
work.
get Kucherov.
The mix doesn't work.
Yeah.
No, the mix is fine. So you should be able to win with McDavid and Vasilevsky, and let's get Miro Heiskanen in there, and let's get Quinn Hughes, and we're over the cap. There's a salary cap, man. There's a salary cap. You can't do it. Mm-hmm. No other team is even trying it.
Well, I also think the Leafs have paid their wingers too much. And the thing is that when you look at the Marner contract specifically, his raise is going to be about $1 million, $1.5 million, which tells you how out of whack it was when he signed it.
Yes,
man.
Right. And now
Matthews was in the same spot.
But Matthews delivered 60 goals a couple times.
And a Hart Trophy.
He did, but he went from 1.64 or something up to 13.25, which isn't a huge raise. It's less than $2 million.
Yeah. That's the guy I spent it on because he's a center.
And what about this thought? Because you were talking about spending too much on the wingers. What position does Mitch Marner play?
Wing.
Which one?
Right wing?
Right wing. Which wing does William Nylander play?
Right wing.
Right wing. You spend all that money on William Nylander because he's great. That means you shouldn't need Mitch Marner. You spend all that money on Mitch Marner. That means you shouldn't need William Nylander. Like, you can't afford both.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's a luxury that they shouldn't have anymore. And I look at a team like Vegas, who did not do a whole bunch today, and there's some banding about them maybe wanting to be in on Mitch Marner, and I feel like there's a decent trade asset out there for you if you want to go get a couple defensemen. I don't know whether it's Nick Hague, I don't know, it's Braden McNabb, Shea Theodore, whoever it is, if you want to get Nick Waugh, if you want for the forward group, but there's options out there to mix it up and try something different, and I think we'll be better in the end.
Yes. And I look at this, and I funnily enough, Jesse, there is a depth chart for the Vegas Golden Knights going around. And some people are saying, hey, listen, there's a bit of a hole here at the top at right wing.
Oh.
Barbashev, Jack Eichel, blank space.
Oh.
So,
Who made this?
Who
made this burger?
Feed the Fish 79 did. But basically, if they are looking around, it wouldn't surprise me. There was that Saravalli report. But again,
Seattle's also an interesting trade partner for Mitch Marner.
We talked about the Leafs. We talked about that off camera. I think that was your idea, Adam. I really liked it.
Well, I think that changed when they signed Chandler Stevenson, though.
I thought that too.
Because Stevenson's an all-assist guy. What I was talking about,
past first players.
You have nobody on that team that can finish. And I thought, hey, wouldn't it be funny if they got a defenseman, which I think they have enough now. And they got Brandon Tanev too. Like they got Larson and Tanev and all the cap space and what, I don't know. It was just a joke, right?
Yeah.
But you're shooting from the hip. It's not like a real trade proposal. Montour.
Oh, you mean Toronto got
that in a trade or something like that. But again, you have Stevenson. The guy's a 40 assist guy. I don't think you need another one of those guys. I think you need, to me, the fit in Seattle. I don't think they've called. I don't have any information on this, but Patrick Laine. You need a guy you need a reclamation project who you can pay $4 million, $4.5 million, get them to retain on him and put him in that lineup. That guy gets 30 goals.
A shooter.
Absolutely a shooter. Now, so the Leafs, I asked Jesse this question. Steve, I'd like to ask you if you have any more expansion on this that you'd like to. What is your archetypal player for the Leafs over the next 2 days here? Because really after this, it starts to peter out.
Someone who can score friggin' goals. Someone who's not afraid to shoot the puck. I think a big part of the reason the Leafs struggled to score goals in that series against Boston is they overpassed.
They sure did.
They overpassed, and someone who can bully their way to the front of the net. I'm seeing too many people be like Jeff Skinner, and I like Jeff Skinner, and yeah, that could be a great signing through the regular season, and then the playoffs arrive, and he gets tossed around like a rag doll. The Leafs, getting a rebound in front of Jeremy Swayman, forget it, forget it. It's not happening. You want to talk about ways they can improve. Their penalty kill needs to be better. I think their penalty kill greatly improved today.
Hakanpää, Tanev, bringing Dewar back will be great.
Yes.
Marner's an elite penalty killer.
Yes. Okay. But then the power play, why aren't we talking about the power play the exact same way we talk about Ilya Samsonov? Ilya Samsonov was great from January, February, March, April.
Bad.
He faltered a bit at it was literally the final 2 games. The power play. Sorry, I'm skipping ahead. Samsonov gave you every reason to believe he could do it. And then he disappeared in the playoffs. This power play, what did they finish in the league? Second? They finished really high.
I think they were 7th. They were second until they fell off a cliff.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. They did fall off a cliff, though, in the last 6 weeks, and no adjustments were made.
No. And then the playoffs arrive, and they cratered. Who's on the top power play unit?
The same guys that have been on the same power play unit for 6 years.
And it was Guy Boucher's fault. The same way it was Manny Malhotra's fault. And when are we going to stop?
Well, I think officially now they've got 2 guys who can quarterback, and maybe you switch it up and you make 2 units that are competitive with each other for ice time.
The Toronto Maple Leafs finished the 23-24 season 7th in the league in power play percentage. But from March 1st to the end of the season, they were 29th.
But they
didn't change anything.
They've done this several times.
That's crazy.
Can you look up? I think it was I want to say it was the Canada season. Remember, it was the only thing heading into the playoffs where okay, this team is good, but they can't friggin' score on the power play. It was either the Canada season, which was 2021, or it was 2020, 21-22, where they went something 2 for 60 or something in the final 6 weeks of the season.
They finished 16th in 2020, 2021 in power play percentage.
Okay, so maybe it was the next year.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about March onward. There was one year
March
where it was just goodbye.
Asked me for a lot.
It was just
So,
goodbye. No, don't worry about it. But no, why are we talking about the power play, which is exclusively 61% of this roster salary cap, the way we talk about Ilya Samsonov? They did the same thing.
Yes. Yep. Agreed. And I think that's the thing. You move that around. I remember I said when Marner went down, I was like, put Max Domi in that spot. They waited, and they did it, and they got results. And I'm glad to see him back. I'm glad to see him back at that number. I want to go through some of the numbers that the Leafs signed players to. So Max Domi, 375 over 4 years. It seemed like
I was right.
Steve was right. In the 2021 season, from March to the end of the season, they were 28th in power play. So just as they were this season, where they were 29th, that season they were 28th.
The lights are too bright.
Yeah, every March comes around, their power play fails.
Max Domi, 29 years old, 4.3% of the cap next year. And I'm going to be reading off percentage of caps a lot more now because I think it is more important than even the number. But the number is 375. Guys, get vibes. Are we good vibes or are we feeling bad vibes?
Good vibes. I can't believe how down people are on this. Listen, I think the reason
this guy's dying to win here.
Well, he's dying to win here. He's actually put down some roots here, but I saw someone like Hakanpää, that's way too much for Hakanpää. I'm like, okay, what's the root of the issue here? The root of the issue here is you see a player sign here for less than league minimum, and you're like, they can't afford that. Why?
Let's keep moving.
No, Max Domi's the perfect player because the amount of places he can play in this lineup. He's a playmaker. He can hopefully set up some guys to get a couple extra goals, and he wants to be here. It's perfect.
I cut you off early. Go ahead.
No. I'm interested to see how he gels with Craig Berube. Berube does not tolerate a lack of effort. Max Domi doesn't have a lack of effort, but he has a lack of any kind of defensive ability.
I wouldn't say that.
Oh, he's terrible. He's terrible in his own.
Terrible is an exaggeration.
Well, how would you rate his defense?
Well, they don't trust him to play it. We'll put it that way.
I give him 3.
You give him a 3?
Wow. Adam, what are you at?
I you know what? I think the best defense is a great offense. And
when he's on the offensive end, great player.
That's great defense. Wouldn't you
great
say?
player.
That's a cop-out.
Giveaway.
That's such a cop-out.
Yeah, but every now and then the other team catches him in that line of, I think it was him, Yarncroke, and Robertson. Man, they were fun to watch in the offensive end.
But this is
they were a nightmare to watch in their own.
It's annoying, though, because Max has all the skills of a guy that you'd think would be good at defense.
Right. So if a lot of this is going to come down to coaching,
I
think
a lot of everything is going to come down to coaching.
Well, what are the major changes beyond the coaching staff? Right? Chris Tanev.
Well, hold on. I want to go through the vibes. of the contract.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm going to give that
Max Domi's vibes.
I'm going to give that an 8 out of 10 vibes.
8 out of 10 vibes. Jesse, do you have a rating out of 10?
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10 vibes. Love the vibes.
60 out of 60 vibes per 60 Max Domi.
All right.
Wow.
Chris Tanev, $4.5 million for the next 6 years. And yes, he will play all of them. What are the vibes on this? This is by the way, this defenseman, and you're like, people are like, oh, I just can't believe they gave him an extra $500,000. This is the best defensive defenseman at 5-on-5. End of story. Numbers will tell you.
I'm gonna say 7.5 out of 10 just because of the length of the deal. Okay. And also I thought the number might be a little less than 4.5, but he is exactly what we have been whining for forever, which is this is the best right-handed defenseman the Leafs have had since
Brian Leetch.
No, he's not right-handed. He's like
Yuskevich?
Maybe. Dude, the bar is low. Matthews era, Barry, Zaitsev, Hall, Shen, Labushkin,
Hainsey.
Cece. Hainsey is a lefty who played on the right.
Oh, right.
You know what I mean? No, left. So this is the thing. I don't like the amount of money. I don't like the years. This is exactly what they need.
Okay, great. So your vibes level out of
7.5.
Jesse.
No, I think Steve nailed it.
I know
your top right-handed pair to get that at $4.5 million. I think is a steal. And they're able to do that because of the length of the contract. And that is a great value for a guy who's going to get your number one right-handed defenseman minutes. It's perfect.
Oliver Ekman-Larsson, $3.5 million per year. This is 4% of the cap for the next 4 years. And need I remind you that Joel Edmondson Third pairing Joel Edmondson just signed in LA for $3.85 million. What are the vibes knowing that comparable?
I'm gonna
I
say
just want to cut.
You did.
Much.
I'm gonna say 6.7 out of 10 because he's gonna bring the Leafs their first cups in 67.
There you go. I like that.
I mean, listen, this is Brad Treliving and Shane Doan being the hockeyiest of hockey men and going,
We had him before.
yeah, I know we have the best scouting staff that money can buy, or the most expensive one that money can buy. But you know who we could get? A guy we know. And they went out and they got Oliver Ekman-Larsson, who was good. He was good in the playoffs and en route to a Stanley Cup win. He's going to be pretty old by the end of that deal.
But he's 32 now.
He's 32 now, 3.5. It's not the end of the world. That's why I give it above a 5, 6.7 out of 10.
All right, Jesse.
I'm going to say a 5. I would have liked them to spend this 3.5 somewhere else. It feels like not necessarily feeling like a need. It's more of like a want. It's like, hey, it'd be nice to have him and let's go do that. But with the way this team is structured, you can't be going out and spending all willy-nilly. And OEL feels like a tiny bit of an overpay and a tiny bit of an unnecessary body because they have 9 defensemen, NHL defensemen signed to this roster.
Yeah.
They did probably, I don't think they need this 9th that much. So, but I'm okay with OEL, the player, being on the team. It's going to be a great fit, I think, once he's in the lineup, but it feels unnecessary.
The Leafs have cornered the market on the last 20 or 25 years worth of Arizona Coyotes captains.
That's right. Timothy Liljegren, 2 years, $3 million per. Vibes. Let's go quick.
3.
Okay, 3 out of 10. You don't like it.
10. We were talking about
Shoots right.
No, we were sending texts. Yeah, he shoots right. Yeah, he shoots right into the opposition stick. And friggin' fire it right in the back of your net through your Civ goalie's 5-hole. Liljegren, listen, if he takes a step this year, he's still somewhat young. Fine, great, good. He made $1.4 million last year. He still was not an 82-game everyday Leaf. And he was healthy scratch on some nights. That's shocking at his age for what was expected of him. And we were sending text all the way up to 5 o'clock. Like, hey, is this guy even going to get tenured a qualifying offer? And we find out he gets a more than double raise? 3.
Yeah, because he would have got a lot in arbitration.
3 out of 10 for the $3 million per. I hope he's worth that because he hasn't shown it.
Jesse.
Yeah, it seems a little rich again. $3 million for this player who you're not sure is going to be in your lineup doesn't really make sense. You can't have $3 million sitting in the press box if you don't end up paying Liljegren. So I think Liljegren's going to mature into a better player than other people do. I think a lot of people think like he's reached his ceiling and that's it. But I think there's still room to grow. I know you don't, but I think a lot of the sentiment out there was like Liljegren's at his peak. Right. I think there's still room to grow. So I'm not too down on the deal. It's just for what he is right now, it's a little much.
The Leafs were worried he was going to be their Gus Forsling in that they would let go of him and he would be a star somewhere else. The contract reflects it. It's not just $3 million; it's 2 years.
Yeah.
Right. So if he's in the press box this year, damn, you're not going to be able to get rid of that.
Yeah. Yanni Hakanpää. Real quick. Out of 10.
6.9.
All right, Jesse.
For his height.
Hakanpää, I'll say a 7.
Yeah.
What was the deal again?
$1.5 million, 2 years. The guy's 6'7".
1.5 million. Like you can't go. I just bump it up to an 8. Like
Okay,
you can't go wrong with 1.5.
There you go. I like Anthony
For a big
Stolarz.
guy, yeah.
2.5 million, 2 years.
8.5.
Jesse.
8.
Okay.
Yeah.
And let's screw it. Matt Murray, 875. Grew up a Leafs fan.
11.
Yeah, 11.
Because there's no risk. It's good. It's good goalie protection. You need 3 goalies. It's perfect. You know him. He's good. Good locker room guy.
4. He's replacing a guy who played NHL games. Like Matt Murray did not play hockey games last year.
Right.
He played a handful of games in the minors.
Now here's what Treliving, some of the
Matt Murray was on the Leafs playoff roster.
There you go.
Oh, shut up. Matthews didn't grow up a Leaf fan. He's turned out okay.
These quotes
that can't be the only thing.
These quotes are from Terry Koshan. On the defense, he said, "I'd rather have too many than not enough." Treliving on Wool. This is from also from Terry Koshan. We have a lot of faith in Joe. That was a priority for us to get ahead of that. On Robertson, remember, Robertson reported yesterday, it was reported that he has no interest in signing a contract with the Leafs. He said, we look at Nick as an excellent player. We need him to be a good player for us. So they'll just say, yeah, that's cool that you've requested a trade. You're not getting one.
So the difference is, like, people are comparing it to Ilya Mikheyev. By the way, Kyle Dubas choosing to not honor Ilya Mikheyev's trade request is the best thing that ever happened in Ilya Mikheyev's career.
What about the Bruins with Jake DeBrusk?
The best thing that ever happened in his career. DeBrusk stayed in Boston, played great, got millions of dollars. Mikheyev stayed in Toronto, played great, got millions of dollars. The Leafs are looking to add up front, or they need that. Like, there's some holes there. There's some really capable offensive players. Stay here. He got 15 goals, right?
Yeah.
Even though he wasn't in the lineup every day and that was frustrating, tell you what, he was in the playoff lineup.
Yep.
Played 6 games. What do you do with it?
Well,
zeros across the board.
Yep.
So Anthony Petrelli had this, and it's dry, and it's the way to look at it. Completely fine with trading or keeping Robertson, but a guy with 17 goals and 34 points in 87 career games and 1 point in 10 playoff games, the one coming in the bubble, simply cannot force your hand. Sit the year if you have to. Leafs can't just bend the knee every single time.
agreed.
This is not a player with leverage. That's it. Sorry.
Wow. Okay.
The playoff thing, I think, is an underrated point people aren't looking at.
Sit or sign.
That was his opportunity. Matthews out, Nylander out. We need depth scoring.
I forgot about that.
No one's scoring.
Zero.
No one's scoring.
Not a goal, not an assist.
Someone say he hasn't scored a playoff goal since 2020.
Damn.
Anyone save us, and he wasn't there.
Treliving says we've got work to do yet. And then lastly, no update on Mitch Marner. Mitch is a great player. We're lucky to have him. Craig alluded to it at his last press availability. He's excited to coach him and move forward. Mitch is training, preparing, and getting ready for the season. So just so you know, that's what the Leafs are saying. But again, varies that conversation and the way they talk about this, to me anyway, is a lot different than what they were saying about Nylander last summer, which is we need to get this player signed.
Did any reporter in that room go, so Brad, when you said everything is on the table, what did you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Did you mean Anthony Stolarz? Is that what you meant?
I have a feeling that that's not what...
No? Did you mean literally having a worse forward group than last year? You're going into next season with last year's forward group minus Tyler Bertuzzi.
And Noah Gregor.
And I'm supposed to be jacked about that? Yeah,
Noah Gregor won a championship for the Crab People Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah, good for him in his video game championship.
Yeah, it's important. It was significant.
I know, I don't want to sound too down on the team. It's a playoff team, and I think they'll make the first round again, and they'll have a really competitive series against whoever they play in the first round again. And I hope they win it this time. But 7 out of the last 8, they haven't.
The goal isn't to be a playoff team. The goal here for anybody who's new is to win a championship. I feel for anybody who was born in 1968 and you've had to live through this your entire life. And what has this team done for you? Absolutely nothing.
No, you're wrong. 1964.
Why?
Here's why. You don't remember him.
No.
You were alive, but you don't remember him.
Okay.
You got to be at least, I'm going to go with at least 62.
All right.
Yeah.
1962.
All right. I'm going to throw it a break here for a second here. So we'll be right back, and we're going to get through our free agency winners and losers in Loserville. It's sunny. It's Canada Day, and woo! You need your Shady Rays, baby. Mm-hmm. You need some sunglasses for the summer. And not just one pair. You need multiple pairs. And how about we do this for you? How about we, because it's free agency day, and we're not used to getting a discount in Toronto. Okay? With our pay, you see?
Look at it.
How about we give you... Oh, my watch almost fell off. How about we give you 50% off 2 or more pairs of sunglasses, rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people online. Use the promo code SDP at shadyrays.com for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses.
I like wearing my Shady Rays on Canada Day during the night because the fireworks are too bright for my eyes.
Do they hurt your sensitive eyes?
When the fireworks are out, I put on my Shady Rays and I watch them through my Shady Ray sunglasses.
Do you have a particular style that you like to go with, Jesse Blake?
I like the ones that they make for golf because I golf a lot.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
I like aviators, so everyone in front of me thinks they're getting a speeding ticket.
Your Mazda does not look like an undercover cop car.
Yes, it
to be
does.
honest, it doesn't.
Yes, it does. Speed
Nobody's thinking that.
Everyone's like, wow, look at that Mazda 3. It looks real fast.
And the Shady Rays
Man.
ties it together.
Those sunglasses really pull the whole thing together.
They do.
Listen,
Yeah.
if you're looking for great sunglasses that'll turn your averagely speed car into a really fast one, no guarantees on that, by the way.
Yeah,
Shady Rays does not make that guarantee.
No, yeah.
They do make this. They'll tell you that, listen, if you take an unexpected hit, maybe from a child or a dog, Stephen, or you lose them, Stephen, Adam, Shady Rays has got you protected.
Where do they go?
I fit into both those categories.
ShadyGrays.com/SDP for 50% off 2 or more polarized sunglasses. Hey, this episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. And let me tell you, if your favorite team has made you a little sad today, because we're going through free agency winners and losers on the show, BetterHelp. I mean, it's probably deeper seated issues than that that you want to get to with BetterHelp, but I mean, it can help. All right? Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
You guys are not helping me out here. You guys are letting me flap. I'm just on
No, therapy's good. What do you want us to say?
good.
Listen, if you want to get a match with a therapist in 48 hours or less, which is so much faster than average, also, it's far more cost effective for a lot of people as well. It's designed to be convenient. It's designed to be flexible. It is suited for your schedule. And by the way, you're just filling out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists anytime at no additional charge. Mental health is key. The summer is a great time for reflecting, so no better time to try out BetterHelp. Stop comparing and start focusing with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/SDP today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/SDP. Do we get to do an intro for this one too, or can I just jump in? Is that okay?
No, why would we play an intro in the middle of the show? What are you talking about?
Stupid idiot. So this is what we're going to do now. Oh, look at that sun. I did get some sun on July 1st.
You're hot AF.
Thank you.
I know.
Thank you, darling.
Oh my
Okay, so here's what I want to ask you. Your free agency winners. Pick a team. Not every team will be covered. There's more winners than what we're going to choose here on the panel today. But who stood out for you, Jesse Blake?
Winner today?
Winner, chicken dinner.
I haven't really thought about it.
Okay.
Steve, you go first.
I like teams that became more of what they want to be.
Mhm.
The Boston Bruins became more of what they want to be, as they always do. They're the Boston Bruins. They go out and they find Boston Bruins. I'm a little tentative because I don't love that Elias Lindholm deal for them. They needed to add at center, and they added pretty big at center. I mean, who was really bigger at that position, who was available than him? Like, you could argue Chandler Stevens.
Yeah, you could. I think that's pretty much
Big deal. And Nikita Zadorov on the Bruins, yuck. Like, how did we go from Nikita Zadorov is for sure getting traded from the Flames to the Leafs to less than a year later, oh, good, he's going to play against the Leafs in their own division for long.
How do you feel about the fact that Nikita Zadorov's analytics may not be great, but he might be kicking the Leafs' ass the entire time we play him in real life?
Boo, and also fart and hiss and kick poo into your hat. Like,
Into the hat?
into the hat.
Do you have to wear the hat afterwards?
No,
or?
so you got to like kick it softly, and it's
Uh-huh.
got to be a firm enough poo.
Okay.
Right? Like, you can't just blast it. It'll go
A lot of
everywhere.
things need to go right here.
Yeah, I know. So I do like that for the Bruins, and former Bruins, the Canucks. Getting Jake DeBrusk. What?
Do we get more than one?
Oh, just one team. I was out.
Oh!
Okay.
But yeah, one team's good. I think the Bruins are a good pick.
Well, I like what the Canucks did too.
Okay,
Okay.
well, that's fine. You can do, you know what? We'll do your winner and then a special mention
Here you
to
go.
accommodate. Jesse Blake, go ahead.
My winner is the Nashville Predators. I
Yes.
think it's an easy one to go to. with today. They signed the biggest fish of the day in Steven Stamkos. They get the second biggest fish, one of the second biggest fishes in Brady Shea, and then you have Jonathan Marchessault as well. They needed this. After a great performance last season, unexpectedly, I don't think a lot of people expected Nashville to be a playoff team, and that amazing run they had at the U2 concert that they didn't go to. They deserve this boost to this roster, and getting those big names has been incredible for them. They get a great backup in Wedgwood. They have a piece to trade in a goaltender. They have 2 first-round picks this upcoming season, their own and Tampa's, which is top 10 protected. So they have more assets to get more players.
That's from the Tanner
Jeannot deal. That was the first-round pick. It doesn't come up.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't come until next year's draft. So they have this they have 2 first-round picks coming up in a year where they should be pretty good. So I think Nashville is going to be a team that's going to be in contention to maybe win the division, to go deep in the playoffs, and they're going to keep adding pieces because they're not only have they added already, but they have still room under the salary cap to add more. They're incredible right now, and Barry Trotz is working his magic.
One more thing to add. Jesse's right. That's the right answer. It's just I had to answer off the top of my head, and he had time to prepare.
Steven Stamkos, Brady Shea, and Jonathan Marchessault. Stammer and Marchessault specifically, Jesse, to back up your point, were booted out of their particular team. Stamkos was the first overall pick ever by the Tampa Bay Lightning, and Jonathan Marchessault, as he did in Florida, was sort of left on the scrap heap by the Vegas Golden Knights. He said publicly, guys, they didn't offer me anything that was even close to acceptable. He's like, they didn't even really try.
I thought a player, he's coming off 42 goals. You want a Conn Smythe for them? I'm like, he's going to get at least $7 million. To see he got a $500,000 raise, yes, with big term, but a $500,000
I think
raise,
the term,
I'm shocked.
I think the term was the reason that number's down where it is, because I think, you go for the extra year or two, and that brings the AAV down, which allows the team to get more players like Stamkos and like Brady Shea.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, from all the stuff that I've watched of the Vegas Golden Knights over the years, Marchessault has a Lambo. Is he going to be driving it to Tennessee from Nevada?
That's a good question. I don't know if they're a good road trip car, but you never know, right? Listen, I don't have a lot of experience with Lambos.
I think the first 20 miles are fun, and then you run out of gas and you're screwed.
My pick is going to be a weird one. The Washington Capitals.
I don't hate them.
And I include the Washington Capitals from the Pierre-Luc Dubois trade onwards. I'm going to read you a quick fan tweet from it's supposed to be a Nick Dowd play on words, but it's Deke Nauder. But anyway, here's what they traded out: Nick Jensen, a 2026 third round pick, a 2024 third round pick, a 2025 third round pick, a 2025 second round pick, back Mallenstein, and Darcy Kemper. What they got was Jake Chychrun, Andrew Mangiapane, Pierre-Luc Dubois, Logan Thompson, Stanley Cup winner, and Matt Roy. And by the way, Logan Thompson still makes $776,000. We mentioned it a little earlier on this show, but the Washington Capitals are spending less than $2 million on their goaltending this year. They have ballooned their salary. They are now at $100 million total. Obviously, they've got some LTIR there with Nick Backstrom. They are going to have to make some more moves to get under the cap. But I got to tell you, listen, Jake Chychrun played on 2 of the worst, poorly managed franchises to start his career. It sucks. Mm-hmm. Nobody was worse run than the Arizona Coyotes. Second to them were the Ottawa Senators. Yeah. And I would say Columbus is tied with that too. But the Ottawa Senators had an issue with ownership. When you have an issue with ownership,
Coyotes too.
That's the thing, right? Yeah. That's what makes it that much worse. Chychrun is finally going to be able to be on a team that really did make a Cinderella run to the playoffs. I know they only lasted 4 or 5 games. I think they got swept by the Rangers, right?
Yes.
And that's fine. But I love too the risks on Mangiapane, which is $5.8 million. Maybe we want to get him back to 30 goals. He gets a big contract next summer because we benefited from it this year. I love that. Yeah. And Pierre-Luc Dubois, when you look at the centerman that Washington has, as great as Hendrix Lapierre was for the Hershey Bears in the AHL playoffs, you need a top line center to play with Ovi.
Dylan Strome led them in scoring.
Yeah.
I would say that detractors would be like, you're spending way too much on Dubois and Mangiapane
until Dubois finds his form again.
I do not like that player. I am still betting on both Mangiapane and Dubois at minimum being better next year than they were last.
I think it would be hard to be worse. And Logan Thompson was a solid goalie for Vegas, and Matt Roy, great signing.
Lots of stuff. We'll be getting lots of stuff.
And so I like all of that for the Washington Capitals. I don't know where that puts them, but we were talking about this a little bit earlier. That Metropolitan, which we called Midtropolitan for a while, is looking a lot more competitive now. The Islanders, I think the only big move they made this today, at least, was Anthony Duclair, 4-year deal. We have no idea how much.
I mean, they could have signed half the league, and we wouldn't know.
We wouldn't know. They won't tell us till September.
Maybe Mitch Marner's an Islander.
Yeah, maybe Carolina.
We'll find out in September.
Carolina, maybe take a step back, but then you got New Jersey, who are resurgent, New York, who are cutthroat.
Yep.
And obviously the Washington Capitals is going to be a lot more competitive this year. So let's get to.
Can I give out my baby winner?
Oh, give me your baby winner.
The baby winner for me is New Jersey. I think New Jersey did a great job getting Pesci and Dylan and Nason. I think that's my baby winner.
I'm gonna say teenage winner.
Who's your baby winner?
I'm gonna just look through. You know what? I didn't prep enough for this, but I will say I'm just looking through here. I am gonna say I really liked what I'm with Steve. He already picked Vancouver. Really like what they did.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the Edmonton ads. I like that they retained Connor Brown at $1 million.
Arvidsson.
Victor Arvidsson is going to be such a key for them.
Yeah.
They're paying him less than I think Warren Fogle got, and I think he's the better player when he's healthy. And that is going to be the key, right? He only played 18 games last year. I love Victor Arvidsson, and I love him for Edmonton.
It's such a good story that Connor Brown's back. Like $4 million was dumb.
Yep.
That was always dumb. But they stuck with him, and God, he played himself into being such a valuable player for them. No wonder he's back. Good for him.
Okay. And then I'm looking at
Sorry, you're setting up the losers.
Yeah, free agency losers. Pick a team. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. Which means my answer is going to be wrong, but
no, it doesn't mean that.
Dallas.
What about
And that is a team I'm so high on.
Okay.
I'm so high on the Stars, and they're still going to be good, and they're still probably going to be a cup contender.
So they re-signed Duchesne.
Duchesne's good.
They lost Tanev and Hakanpää.
They lost Tanev and Hakanpää, especially Hakanpää.
Yeah, especially.
Even DeSmith, like that's not terrible, but to spend
Dumba
nearly $7 million on Dumba Lyubushkin, I don't understand that.
Yeah, so Dumba gets 3.75 2 years, Lyubushkin 3.25 2 years, 4.3% again on the cap and 3.7% on the cap.
I don't.
What is the issue there for you? Let's get specific. Like, okay, so Dumba is a guy that, and we talked about this in the video. Dumba is a guy that we expected to have like a 6-year, $36 million deal a couple years ago. That's fallen away.
Well, no one's replacing Tanev. So we'll start there. The other thing is Lyubushkin better than Hakanpää? All right, here's a better question. Is Lyubushkin twice as good as Hakanpää?
Right.
I just don't like the way they manage their money there. They're still a really good team. They're still a contender. I just don't love what they did.
Okay. Jesse Blake.
I'm battling two teams in my head. I think I got to decide on one, right? So I'm going to go with the Detroit.
No, we need a baby loser.
I will give a baby loser, but my big loser is the Detroit Red Wings.
Yes.
Because I don't know where the Yzer plan is going. Yzerman's big free agency day, and Patrick Kane was signed on June 30th, so it doesn't count for today. So
more like improviserman.
Steve Yzerman's big decision was to sign up 4 goalies. You know, he already had Ville Husso. He already had Alex Lyon. And then he goes out and he gets Jack Campbell. And the other name escapes me right now. Who's the other goalie? Who's the fourth goalie? Cam Talbot. That's there.
Dude,
and
this is what I thought with Alex Lyon last year. I'm like, who's your agent? Like, you were just so good. You led the Panthers toward a playoff spot. And you signed with Detroit to be their third goalie? But then he worked his way up to be like the backup. Like, what's going on?
For a situation where you have 2 goalies who are going to be competing for spots, why go to a place where there's already 2 goalies? That made no sense to me. And then the deal he made before free agency to free up a whole bunch of space, and you move Jake Wallman with a second to have all this cap room to do something interesting, it never happened. Where was that subsequent move?
Patrick Kane, I think.
No, that wasn't it. That wasn't anything. Like
6.5 is quite a bit.
That's
Like,
Wallman's
that's
deal.
the move?
That's Kane's
Yeah.
deal last year plus
That's
Wallman's
the
deal.
move?
part of the appeal.
I think you're building on. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, no. Part of the appeal of Kane last year was how cheap he was.
Yeah.
And like now it's like if he's that good again, it's like, okay, well then you're like break even.
Right. And it's a $4 million cap hit. Patrick
Oh,
Kane
is that what it is?
Yeah.
No, with bonuses though.
With
Oh,
bonuses,
with bonuses,
if
yeah.
he hits all the bonuses and all that stuff, he can get up to 6.5, and that's the total value of the contract. So it's $4 million cap hit right now. And if that's it from Yzerman, I looked at a Detroit team that was in a playoff spot all season long, and then they fell off a cliff once they got just a couple of injuries and the goaltending went away.
Larkin, holy
And
smokes.
you're gonna
MVP.
stand pat with your Justin Hall defense, and you're gonna sign up.
They couldn't trade Justin Hall.
No, and you're gonna sign up Eric Gustafsson now, and he's gonna be the thing that's gonna hold you guys together and bring back Patrick Kane. And I don't understand what they're doing. So
Well,
they gotta be
and
my
here's
losers.
does this make it better or does this make it worse?
Mhm.
So the big drama, and this is a great story, but it's getting buried by free agency, is the fact that the New York Rangers are done with Jake Trouba. And as of today, he was able to submit a 16-team no-trade list. And the rumor was, because he wants to stay in New York, that he was going to potentially put Detroit on it, because he goes from a no move to a no trade, just to scuttle this deal because he doesn't think anybody else will take him. At which point, the Rangers would just put him, as they did with Barclay Goodrow, on waivers. Does your opinion change if the Red Wings get a $6 million
Adam.
Jake Trouba?
No,
Adam,
eight,
if they
eight.
Oh, 8. I
Yeah.
mean, if the trade happens, it's 6. If it doesn't, it's 8.
if they get Jacob Trouba, it makes it worse. Like, Jacob Trouba isn't the answer for the Red Wings, I don't feel.
I don't know. Having Sider and Trouba on your right side, like teams, like players in the Atlantic might die.
Okay, but the New York Rangers are
My
saying we were in the conference finals and we're close to making the Stanley Cup finals, and we don't need this man. So you're
so
gonna
dry.
take him, and he's gonna be the answer for
Well,
you.
I think it's because they
when
have
the
Fox
team
and
that
Schneider.
was right there didn't need him.
They have Fox and Schneider, though.
No, take the dregs from the team that it didn't work for. Like,
Well,
that doesn't make sense.
And let me add this.
For who?
Last year,
Detroit, right?
yeah, Detroit, yeah.
they're going to get a sweetener for it, I think. But last year, Detroit was had the worst free agency day pick. I said that last year. I said that they had the worst. I don't understand what they're doing. It was bad. And of course, I looked terrible as soon as they got into a hot streak to start in October, November. And I feel pretty good about it because what happens is when you have a bad July 1st, this is how important this day is, it leads to other bad July 1sts. As you try to undo some of the things that you did previously, I'll give you a Leafs example so you know I'm not picking on Detroit. I'm trying to back up Jesse's point here. Patrick Marleau. They went the third year with Patrick Marleau, and in the third year, all the big extensions kicked in, and they're like, crap, we can't keep him. And now Seth Jarvis just signed for $6.9 million. Nice.
They're doing
Over
it
6
again,
years
by the way.
in Carolina.
Because they said with Oliver Ekman-Larsson, they're like, we went 4 years to get the player. Brad, media training. We went 4 years because he's worth 4 years. That's what he said. No, we went 4 years because we had to. Yeah, real strong, tough, 6'4" hockey man.
I
don't know. I just
don't know.
buckled.
If $8 million of Trouba doesn't work for Detroit or for New York because you're playing him in your bottom pairing, like, I don't understand how $8 million in Detroit's going to work for them.
Right.
Yeah. Why would you pay for that?
I agree with that. It just seems that they may have a different opinion.
I do want to throw one thing out there with Detroit and why would Jack Campbell sign to be the fourth goalie in Detroit? His career needs to slow down. He needs a reset. And Detroit plays in Detroit, Michigan. The Grand Rapids Griffins play in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Near Detroit.
Jack Campbell is from Port Huron, Michigan. So he's going closer to home.
Yeah.
And hopefully he has a good season, and then we take it from there.
And I think for him, and this is not no offense to Jack Campbell, who I loved when he was a Leaf. I don't think that he'll ever, like, he is a absolute lock to pass through waivers. Nobody is taking Jack Campbell. And that
didn't that already happen?
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is that like if you've got Lyon and you've got Husso, or sorry, you got Lyon and you got Cam Talbot. I'm assuming Husso's on the move. Maybe Husso goes to the Rangers.
There's
I don't know.
lot of moving parts that aren't moving in Detroit.
True. I just feel like
Husso's not going to the Rangers.
I just feel like there's I feel like with Campbell, it's like that's a sure bet if you're Detroit for goaltending depth. You're going to go to Grand Rapids. you're going to try to figure this out. You got a year to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like, it wasn't supposed to be an insult. It's just like, no one's touching them. So it's an easy one for Detroit.
Adam,
Sign
who's
you
your
and
loser?
play. My loser is the Pittsburgh Penguins. I don't know what. And by the way, they were my baby loser last year.
That's
Detroit
also
was my number one loser. Pittsburgh Penguins with that Graves and Jari extension. Oh boy, do I look like a genius now.
That's a free square on the bingo card.
But you know
what are you? I have no idea what they are.
Exactly. So
No
here's what
idea.
they got done over the last couple of days. They got Kevin Hayes in a second.
Cool.
They got Matt Grzelcyk today for 2.5.
Oh, did they?
They traded
Okay.
Riley Smith to the New York Rangers for a second and a fifth.
I won't lie to you. That's a victory. I can't believe they got that.
They had to retain though.
Oh, well.
Yeah. So Riley Smith at 5.5. I think the Rangers will only pay him 3 or 3.5, something like that.
Okay.
Bavillier was. This is the most Dubas guy, Anthony Cardio Merchant Bavillier. Nothing against him personally, but like, how many teams do you need to go to before we realize?
Yeah.
Like
That
last
suitcase
year,
has a lot of stickers.
Vancouver. Who was he with before Vancouver? Islanders? He was an Islander.
He was an
Bavillier?
Islander, then he was a Canuck, then he was a Predator.
No, Blackhawk and then Predator.
Blackhawk and then Pred.
Oh my
yeah.
God.
He was
Isn't
traded
that
twice
crazy?
last year?
This guy, Mike Sillinger, objects in your mirror are closer than they appear.
Yeah.
Here he comes.
Yeah, he's the new Sillinger or Andrew Brunette, who was also on a lot of teams. Blake Lizotte was a guy that Dubas spoke very highly of in his press conference today. And I want to go through some of Dubas's quotes because I think this speaks to me of a clear issue with direction between Fenway Sports and Kyle Dubas. I think that Kyle Dubas was brought in under the circumstances of, we're going to try it one more time with Crosby, Malkin, Letang. If we can't get it done, we'll make some moves. Interestingly, over the weekend, the guy that was a big part of hiring Kyle Dubas. And it's crazy because when Kyle Dubas' contract expired on June 30th, the guy flew in, met him, and gave him $50 million right there on the spot.
And goodbye.
No, liar. I don't believe that at all. They had that deal worked out, and that's fine, and tampering's real, and who cares? The point is that the guy that hired Dubas has now left. And whether or not he wanted to go or not, I'm curious about what Fenway Sports and Entertainment are attempting to do here. Dubas said they want to keep their cap space open in case opportunities come through the summer, meaning when the music stops, how many players are going to sign value deals? Leaf fans, that must sound familiar. He said, we have approval on budget from ownership to go to that point that we can use the space either to acquire good young players or use that space to acquire more assets. Unless someone really young shakes loose, Lizotte is the only player we've done more than a year on today. So I think it would need to be somebody impactful and young shaking loose for us to go longer term. And he said on the on-ice direction, they're not looking to squeak into the playoffs, but they want to become a contender as quickly as possible. He said it's not a strip down to the stud situation here. It's a try to use every method we can to acquire future assets. And those assets, he said, can come through the draft, younger free agents, via trade, via waivers. They can come in and support the core here. We're not going to get into free agent quick fixes like some of the long-range deals they did today. And the reason they're not is because they can't. They did that last year. Tristan Jarry, 5-year extension. Ryan Graves, was that 8?
Yeah,
7 or
6,
8 years?
6
years.
Still too long.
But those were bad deals the day they were signed, and crazy they didn't work. I was pro Riley Smith. That didn't work either.
Yeah. Well, here, let's try to look at it this way. Like, they got no picks. It's brutal. So
And they got no cap.
So today, yeah, it's bad. Today, they get 2 picks for Riley Smith, a second and a fifth. Good. They get a second round pick along with Kevin Hayes, I believe retained. And if he has a good enough season with Pittsburgh, guess what? You get to trade him again.
Yeah. But they're a contender, Steve. They want to be a contender, Steve.
Yeah, you could tell the microphone that. Ask Sid how he thinks the Penguin did today. Oh, yeah. Oh, here comes number 4. I don't think so, man. I don't think so.
And I look at this and I think, I don't know how much of this is at any one person, right? But I do question what the intention here is. If you want to build around Sid, you can retool a team quickly. But it can't be Sid and Gino and Chris Letang.
I mean, it's on Sid. Like, dude, time's up.
Sure. Okay.
Time's up.
But
But if you're going to stay here forever, which a lot of people think would be the best thing for you to do, all right, you've won your last cup.
Well, what about the Washington Capitals and what they've been able to pull off? If we talked a week ago, I would have put the Capitals and the Penguins in the same category. Now, I had the Capitals as my winner, the Penguins as my loser.
Mm-hmm.
They have done nothing. And they're like, we're not sure what's next. And the other thing is, Dubas going on the microphone and saying legitimately that he thinks that Tristan Jarry and Alex Nedeljkovic soaking up $8.5 million of their cap is doable next year.
Mm-hmm.
You're out of your mind. And I know he did. Listen, that Islanders game, make no mistake, and I've heard this from people who actually know this. That Islanders game that Jarry blew a hole in his credibility in that organization. They are not happy with him. They don't trust him. So this is a guy they desperately want to move on from. And again, who signed that deal?
I got to say, what's going on there? Because I had heard the same thing with Matt Murray, and the Penguins have an issue of losing with goaltenders that you previously won with. You know what? You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like they're great. Oh, they fell off a cliff.
How
Murray was injuries, I think.
Yeah, and obviously, that made him not as good anymore. But this is 2 in a row. And the solution is Nedeljkovic.
Well, he had a good year, and he's making 3.5.
Okay, have back-to-back.
Well, he was going to be an unrestricted free agent. I think that's why.
Then,
yeah, you're kind of stuck, right? Yeah,
they could get great goaltending all year. It's
not
not like Jarry was bad last year.
Listen, the Blues got great goaltending from Binner, and then didn't, and then got good goaltending from Jesse's favorite goalie, Ville Husso, and then said, we can't re-sign you because we have Binnington, so we're going to go with Binnington.
I think part of the reason we spend so much time talking about the Penguins, it's like, dude, you're screwing up the end of legendary NHL careers.
And to say that it isn't possible to build around this is a fallacy, because the Capitals just did it. It's just that you have to be willing to take risks. And the Capitals, this may blow up in their face, but at least they tried. What I'm asking the Penguins to do is attempt to take a risk.
Hey, if you do tear it down, you might do pretty well. Dude, Carlson, Letang, Malkin, Crosby.
Yep.
But they want to stay.
Absolutely.
They want to stay.
So now here's the thing. Baby losers, do you have any baby ones?
The LA Kings.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, I think they're moving sideways, and I don't trust Rob Blake. I don't think he's been a good GM for the last couple of years, and they're my baby loser.
Baby loser Jets. Just because they were so good. And what did they do?
Well,
other than lose guys.
It's a tough day for the Jets usually, right? July 1st.
It is. They brought in Eric Comrie, and who else did they get?
That's it. I believe.
They didn't get, did I see they got Kakkonen, or where did Kakkonen
Unless they got something last time I checked, but I think the Comrie deal was the only one made today.
Like that's it? That's it?
I'll triple check for you.
A guy you used to have?
In a moment.
Yeah. And Monahan leaving, obviously, to go to Columbus hurt.
Kakkonen and Comrie.
You got 2 goalies.
Yeah.
But behind Connor Hellebuck.
Yeah, you got a second and a third behind like one of the best goalies in the world. Like, womp womp.
Okay.
There's nothing there.
They they did the Dylan DeMello deal, re-signing him.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That was like a couple days ago.
And they lost
25th.
Brendan Dillon today.
Oh.
To New Jersey.
Yeah, nothing crazy from Winnipeg. Yeah.
I want to say this quickly. I've got 2. But the one of them I'm bringing up because we're segueing into it next. Carolina Hurricanes are a baby loser for me. There's a mass exodus in Carolina. Marty Necas might be stuck there because he might be the only one left. Sean Walker did sign long-term, 5 years, $3.5 million per. I know that my understanding is that Sean Walker was expecting to be in the $5 million range. So surprising that he signs for that, but good for him. He gets money, he gets security, low tax state.
I honestly think Carolina reached their ceiling last playoffs in that series versus New York. I don't know if they could play any better, and it's just if it's ever going to be good enough with that core. So they needed a big shakeup this offseason. A lot of guys just are out the door.
And I think, Jesse, that's a really key point. Sometimes you do reach the pinnacle of what you are, and then everybody goes. And Jake Gensel, from all accounts, they said, we'll match any deal you get. We want you to be here. And he said, nope. I'd really like to go to Tampa and replace Steven Stamkos there. And that brings me to our second free agency loser, and that is the Tampa Bay Lightning. Not necessarily because of what they did, but because how it was handled.
Yeah.
And I'm going to read... Oh, sorry. Did you guys want to say something?
No,
I want to read this. Nate Thompson, who was his teammate in Tampa for 5 seasons. The Lightning will have this stain on their organization forever. Successful or not next season, it's a huge mistake. Lost a captain and one that still produces 40 goals, by the way.
Yep.
That's all on the surface, not even mentioning his off-ice impact, which is bigger. Smashville is laughing now. Now, I understand Nate Thompson, likely good friends with Steven Stamkos.
Yeah.
I get that there's a bit of a biased point of view and you have to be cutthroat and whatever. But I think from day one at training camp last year, gentlemen, and this is why I want to get into the Lightning as a whole. Day one, Stammer walks in and goes, they didn't call me all summer. To not even have a phone call and say, hey, just so you know, we are not going to offer you an extension this summer. We need to evaluate the team. That kind of communication with the franchise's first overall pick, captain, Stanley Cup, 2-time Stanley Cup winner, 3-time Stanley Cup appearances.
Yep.
I mean,
Okay, let me just correct you before you keep saying it. This was from Carl Seed on Twitter. Please tell Adam Stamkos is not our first ever
Vinny?
first overall pick.
Vinny?
He's the third. Roman Hammerlick in 1992 was our first,
man.
and Vincent Lecavalier in 1998.
Damn.
So
I thought Vinny was 2. Sorry.
yeah, that's not true.
Okay, well, Roman Hammerlick
No,
was a
he's
good
their
pick too.
first.
Roman
Nice.
Hammerlick, really good Calgary Flame as well. Let's just put it.
Yes. Counter argument to what Nate Thompson said about them wearing this stain forever. Martin St. Louis leaves unceremoniously.
Because he wasn't picked for the Olympic team.
Yeah, and then I'll show you goes to New York and they go straight to the Stanley Cup final. What happened after that? Tampa Stanley Cup final in 2015. Tampa conference final in 2018. Tampa President's Trophy 2019. Don't ask what happened after that. Tampa Stanley Cup winner 2020. Tampa Stanley Cup winner 2021. Tampa Stanley Cup final 2022.
And a couple of first and outs.
So, they're going to wear the stain forever. And they took that and they went, and they smudged that thing right off. You got to make the right decision for your organization, and no one gives a damn.
Did they make the right decision, though, in bringing back all of Ryan McDonough's salary? Because you could have had Sergachev and you could have had Stamkos. Stamkos, the offer for Stamkos was apparently 8 times 3, which is roughly $24 million, which is about $8 million less than what he signed for overall in Nashville. If you go 8 times 4, there's the $32 million that Stamkos is looking for. Okay, so they could have done that, and they could have had Sergachev still.
Yep. Now you're asking the right questions.
So that's where, for me, and you guys were talking about Jake Gensel, and we were talking a little bit about it this morning. Steve, you think that he may not be, or you think he is a great replacement for Stammer?
I
and Jesse,
originally
we're not
said
sure.
I originally said he was an upgrade, and then I found out Stamkos scored 40. I didn't really. It's funny. The reason I didn't think Stamkos scored 40 is the way the Lightning treated him. I was like, no, there's no way. And then you find out he's as good offensively as he's ever been. You know, go watch some defensive tape. It's not quite as good.
Is Jake Gensel? Maybe he's not as talented as Steven Stamkos was at his peak.
He's talented in different ways,
but he's talented in different ways, and he's younger.
He's 5 years younger. It's significant, man. It's significant. Listen, Nashville had a great day.
Oh, they had a great day.
Yep.
Marchessault is going to be old at the end of that. Stamkos is going to be old at the end of that. And then who was?
So is O'Reilly. So is Shen. They're a win now team now.
Well, it's interesting because they do have some really young pieces who will be roughly prime when those guys are old. So it might work out for them. And they have 2 first-round picks. That helps too. Tampa doesn't really want to have to deal with that. That Tampa doesn't look, I think, at the sun rising and setting. I think they just want to always be competitive and always make the right choice. And you know, I don't care if he scored 40 goals. Signing a 34-year-old to 4 years is not a great choice. To $8 million per. You know, you can go, well, what about Tanev? What about Tanev? I didn't say it was awesome. He's getting 6 years, but he's also getting a little more than half of what Stamkos is.
Right.
It's not the same.
Right.
It's a lot of money.
I think all great dynasties aren't sustained forever. And to me, it's Tampa's on the back half of it right now. And I look at Julien Brisebois' moves during the season because there's some evidence to say like, okay, usually Tampa, they go out and get a guy and we're like, what are they doing? And then it doesn't work out. But they went out and got guys this deadline and they didn't work out in the months that followed in the playoffs. They got Anthony Duclair and they got Matt Dumba, and they give up a 3rd and a 5th for those 2 gentlemen. And they lost to Florida. Like that was their fate. And then you
Yeah.
go and you make the Ryan McDonagh trade where you're taking on the $6.75 million. And you, because of that, you give up the second round pick, plus you lose Sergachev. And I know in that deal, you get a second round pick back. But it just, to me, feels like they haven't gotten any better. And it's not like they're going back to their heyday or anything like that.
No.
I don't know.
Wait, I just thought of a loser.
What?
Us. If you don't click like on this video.
Oh,
That's
true.
a good one.
By the way, Cassie says if you get 1,000 likes on this video, she'll drop 20 subs.
Ooh.
Drop 20 subs on it. By the way, Wes Kills said, "Hey Adam, can you give your expert opinion on Stamkos and the Tampa divorce?" Well, I think we just did. As a divorce expert.
Here's the difference. He's not going to lose his.
That was an
ring.
ugly one. I thought there'd be a little bit more grace with Steven Stamkos exiting.
It was an ugly way to go.
It didn't feel like there was a lot of grace there.
Yeah, but this doctor prescribes a healthy dose of time. They'll be fine.
Cassie wanted to know earlier, Penn's free agents, genuinely, who are these people? Who are they? Obviously,
Blake Lazat's not bad.
No, he's a good player.
I like Blake
He's
Lizotte.
such
Blake
a
Lazat's
Dubas player.
guy.
Yeah.
He's a guy.
Yeah.
He's a Dubas guy, though.
He's good.
And he's younger. And he fits that for them. Right?
He's a guy. I'm frankly surprised he's a free agent.
Right. SDPN, you guys are the reason I'm a Leafs fan. The Kraken
Sorry.
have refuted Emily Kaplan's story about Hackstall. Eberle did a radio interview refuting it, and so did McCann. That doesn't mean, and I have to tell you, Zoe, that doesn't mean it's not true.
You know what I hate? Yeah, is when people go, well, that's that then.
Yeah, and no, I don't blame
He
them.
said, nuh-uh.
There could be there are very likely other guys who are quite important on the team. I trust Emily's reporting.
Yes.
She's not going to report something like that unless she really knows. And that story has not been retracted.
Yeah, if she
So-
retracts it, I'll retract my
I'll-
defense.
Yeah,
But
I
don't think that's happening.
I think what's clear is that Eberle and McCann didn't mind him. Somebody else did.
Or they're lying.
Keep liking the video.
Hudson Markell, us Rangers fan trying to figure out when Drury was going to wake up. Jesse, how do you feel about the Rangers right now?
They clearly need some other jolt to the entire lineup. Like they need some extra step to get them past a team like Florida, because they're in contention for one of the best teams in the National Hockey League, but they're one little rung below. They clearly just couldn't get past Florida, and they need that extra little thing. And I don't know what it's going to be. Chris Drury has a lot of time, because it's not a big move like signing Stamkos or trading for Gensel or anything like we just talked about, like teams did on July 1st or leading into this. It's tinkering around the edges, and Trouba could be that move. I don't know what it's going to be, but there's plenty of guys out there still that they can get.
How about this? What if Chris Drury is learning? He got rid of Barclay Goodrow on waivers. Barclay Goodrow was a July 1st, like a free agency signing. I don't know if it was actually July 1st. He's trying to get rid of Jacob Trouba. That was a free agent signing. Artemi Panarin worked out pretty well. The most efficient and cost-effective way to get a player is through the draft. The second best is through a decent, logical trade. The least efficient way possible is free agency.
You will always overpay.
Yes, so maybe he's learned.
And he has money that needs to go to Schneider and Lindgren.
Right.
So he can't just waste cap space, because those two defensemen need money.
Schneider and Lindgren, who he drafted.
Start putting your questions
Nice.
in for the press conference now. I'm just going to get through some of these supers.
He traded for Lindgren.
Leafs should sign Nylander, Alex Nylander for the vibes. That's from Cassie.
No, that's not going to happen.
no,
I think it's a fun idea. At best, he's playing for the Marlies.
Justin Silverman, I don't understand. Julian Breezeway, why are you getting older on defense and then you let go of the face of the Lightning? I hate it.
Everyone's disrespecting JJ Moser in that equation.
Yeah, JJ Moser's a good player.
He's a
I just
good
think he
player.
hasn't made his name yet.
No,
Yeah.
but you have a left side now of Hedman, McDonough, Moser. I don't think the sky is falling.
No, it still would have been better with Sergachev, though.
Yeah.
I think is that fair?
But the goal isn't to just be the same; it's to win a Stanley Cup. And I don't think the Lightning are the top 5 for Stanley Cup right now.
Morgan or Connor? I can't
Morgan.
remember.
It's Morgan. Connor's on Boston.
Big part of that deal, though.
Robert Bett. Do you guys think the signings on defense will mean that they move Timmins or Liljegren?
Well, I doubt it's Liljegren.
You
Timmins,
think Timmins is gone?
Yeah, there's no reason to play him in this lineup. Like,
They always seem to find a reason.
What I'm disappointed with is we didn't get breaking news during the show, because I'm willing to bet the depth guys, Treliving made it sound like multiple. I think it's going to be one forward, one D.
Another D?
Yeah.
10 defensemen?
You need depth guys like a Lagesson type.
What about 11?
Benoit, like what Benoit was?
What about 12?
What about 19? The point is, though, a guy who's not going to be in your lineup every day, or like even the next guy up, like Timmins is, can't be making 1.1 mil.
Mm-hmm.
So, get a guy better suited for that position, because he ain't it.
Okay, so should we just bop into the press conference here?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Let me, here, hold on.
Here, fire that. Wait, ready? It's live.
The Presser. SDP. The Steve Dangle Press Conference.
We're going to burn through these real quick, okay? JF Blanchard wants to know, how do you guys feel about the core of Montreal with the slap extension?
There's a whole video on it.
Yeah, there is.
Thumbs up, though.
Really good.
Oh, yeah.
Really good sign.
Yeah, I don't think we could have been higher on it. 10 out of 10.
And if you don't agree with us, look at the back half of Slavkovsky's season.
To add to something that I just said about the Winnipeg Jets, they did get another guy. Elliot Friedman, Colin Miller, 2 times 1.5
okay.
in Winnipeg.
There you go.
Is Jeff Skinner in the hopper for the Leafs or Oilers bound? What are your thoughts?
Yeah.
I think it makes more sense for him to go and try to win a cup with Connor McDavid, but it also makes a lot of lifestyle sense to not sell his house in Buffalo and just move 2 hours up the road.
Yeah, like it means he's gonna have to go to Edmonton. So okay, I don't mean this disrespectfully. So the Oilers love a guy who was just bought out or had his contract terminated.
Yeah,
they
Oilers
love it.
in Dallas are big buyers of
Oh my God, it's their favorite thing. Corey Perry, Evander Kane, and now add Jeff Skinner to that trifecta. Connor McDavid has a little bit of the LeBron, I'm the GM thing going on. And hey, Connor, I know you just suffered the most traumatic loss of your life in hockey. You lost Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. Our solution to help you out, we're going to help you out, buddy, is we're going to go out and get a guy who has played over 1,000 games in the NHL without playing a single game in the Stanley Cup playoffs. What do you think? I don't think he's going to love it.
Okay.
And Leaf fans,
I think the Leafs are selling Skinner on being here.
I think they're trying it. I just keep seeing people saying if they can get him on something like League Min, that's going to be great. And I'm like, okay, 9 was too much.
He had 24 goals last year.
You're on drugs. Like, if he signs League Min, it's literally out of the kindness of his heart.
Yeah.
There's no reason for him to do that.
Yeah.
I think he could still get 2 or 3.
This is looking way too far ahead, guys. But JPix94, what expiring goalies will the Leafs be potentially looking at the trade deadline if this goes south? I think that's impossible to know.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
I don't think
way too far.
I have enough faith in it that's not.
I actually really like their plan. I'm not worried about it.
If everyone gets hurt, go with the kids.
And also, that's every team. If everyone gets hurt, you'll run into problems.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Yeah.
Show me a team that your first 2 goalies go down and you're okay.
Why weren't they in a position to succeed with their ECHL backup?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Jesse, I'm going to ask you this one. From Fact Sakes, who gets the cup first, Habs or T.O.?
Can I pick neither?
Okay.
Montreal.
Here's my answer. Toronto. If the Habs get Askarov, the Habs.
There you go.
Toronto's the correct answer.
When the cap does go up, what is League Min? I believe it's going to be about 1.4 or 1.425. No, sorry.
League
not
minimum?
League Min. That's variable. I believe it's 800 something. Whatever Matt Murray signed for, 875, something like that.
Yeah, in the neighborhood of 850, 900,000, somewhere in there.
Thoughts on Robertson being told no to trade? I mean, we said it a little earlier in the video, so we won't spend too much time on it. The Leafs, he has no flexibility here. He's got no cards.
I think he's going to be a good player in this league, but in terms of resume, who the hell are you?
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Speedy V wants to say
the
that
league minimum is 775.
Oh, Speedy V, hit me.
Costco gravy accepted. Top tier gravy.
Let's go.
Cassie gifted 10 memberships and then did another super chat for the gravy. Benjamin Patterson says, I think the Benny's gravy's better. I don't know, Benny. We haven't tried it. Can't really be making
What is Benny?
spurious. Well, it's his own.
Ew.
I don't know, buddy. Jared Brissell says, I think Detroit is doing youth movement. I don't think so. I think they're getting old movement.
Nope. I think it's Stevie. No, wait, what was it? Stevie Improviserman.
Somebody said in the chat that the Shanna plan is still worse than the Iser plan, and no, it isn't.
Okay,
I'll take the Shanna
plan. Made the playoffs yet?
Jeremy Gross dropped us a $50 chat just to say thanks.
We're also at 895 likes.
Yes.
We're so close to 1,000.
That's garbage.
How is there are 4,000 people watching and we haven't hit 1,000 likes yet? That's disrespectful.
It's 2024. Like AI strong. You think I can't come through that screen? There's a greater than 0% chance. You don't click friggin' like. Oh my God. You wait till your father gets home.
Jay Devils fan, quick question. I love Steve saying of having a cup of coffee with the team. What's the game range for that? How many games is too much?
Oh, that's a lovely question.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that. A cup of coffee.
I think it's 5. 5 and under.
Under 20 or 25?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Really? That much?
25.
Okay.
That's the cutoff.
Michael, who was super down on the Leafs in our draft stream on Friday night,
Oh my God.
is so down on them that, so here's the deal.
Still?
Michael offered, he's convinced, he's a Leaf fan, and he's convinced the Leafs are not going to make the playoffs. And so if they do make the playoffs, he said he'll donate $1,000 to a charity of our choice.
Which, just make out the check now.
Now, gentlemen,
Yeah.
Michael has said today that he is upping his offer because he's so disappointed in what Treliving's done. He'd like to make it 15.
Like, are you just a philanthropist or what? and like, you need an excuse or like, it's
So
cool.
Michael thinks they won't make the playoffs.
And he's willing to put $1,500
crazy.
bucks down on a charity for it.
That's
1,500.
crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I think so too.
Holy wow.
No, bet's on. Like,
But-
let's do it. Also, we hit 1,000 likes.
Hey,
thank you.
Yeah, bullying works.
Carolina, according to Bob Smith, will be fine. They're making a youth push. I'm sure they'll be fine eventually.
They do have guys. What's his name? Scott something?
Yeah.
Morrow?
Opinionated says, I think people need to talk about the fact that the Central Division has 7 teams trying to make the playoffs. Well, I'm going to blow this one out of the water for you. Each division has 8 teams trying to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't.
Kind of crazy.
No one looks like they're stinking on purpose.
No,
anymore.
actually, it's true. It is true.
Yeah.
There aren't any.
Anaheim.
Even the Blackhawks. Anaheim did not make a move today, and they're $8 million
Anaheim's-
under the cap floor.
Anaheim's trying to stink.
Yeah, they are trying to stink.
They're not even building a roster that qualifies to play.
Oh,
I was just being a saucy boy.
Yeah.
Mitch Marner.
J Devils fan, $5 just a tip for Mad Dog for being amazing.
Cassie gifted the 20 subs for the 1K.
yes,
Thank you, Cassie.
Alan Phrase, can someone with a no movement clause be bought out? No. They cannot.
Are you sure?
Yep, no movement. I believe they cannot be bought out.
They can't be sent down.
Yeah, I don't know if you're right about that.
Oh,
No,
okay.
I'm pretty sure they can be bought out.
Can
They can't be sent down.
Yeah.
They can't be traded.
So then there is movement in the no movement clause.
No, because technically you don't have to go anywhere. You can just retire.
Oh, I guess. Tip for Robert for doing a great job from J Devils fan. Guys, Jesse, Steve, Milk Duds, yay or nay from I'm Patty Jack.
That's chocolate, right?
Yeah.
Then yes.
Jesse, Milk Duds, yay or nay?
Milk Duds, yes. I'm looking up the no movement clause. Sorry,
That's fine.
distracted.
Look up
Shane
what milk
Rolston.
duds are.
Canucks signed Myers, Desharnais, and Forbert for $6 million a year total. Yeah, Desharnais got 2, Forbert got 1, Myers got 3. Should they have just kept Zadorov? Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Ooh, I don't love Desharnais getting 2.
Yeah, I think they got bound up a little bit there, but Hronek, I think they felt like they couldn't do Quinn Hughes at whatever his number, Hronek at his number, and Zadorov at that number, but they probably should have.
I mean, I don't want to do this comparison, but watch me do it anyway. Hakanpää has a way better NHL resume than Vinny Desharnais. Just throwing it out there.
Yep. Danielle Me, the Ducks are asleep today, or are they just planning something? I don't think they're planning much. I think they're looking for cap dumps, and I would look at teams trying to get out from under, and they're probably going to weaponize that cap to get draft picks sent their way. The Sabres didn't replace Skinner from side of Fries. What's next for Buffalo? Kevin Adams said today that not a lot is next for Buffalo, that they're happy with what they have, and you called them one of the free agent losers.
Did I? I think that was Jesse.
Oh, it was Jesse? Okay, who's
Although I agree with him.
No, I didn't. I said L.A. and the other guys.
Well, they're losers.
Okay, maybe you didn't call them losers. They didn't do much today.
No, they also did a lot of their business last year. Like, I think the season is going to start, and we're going to be like, oh, they have Darlene and Owen Power and Bowen Byram, and when the hell did that happen?
Tage Thompson,
Tage,
healthy
Tage Thompson is going to be big for them. Devin Levi but again, they didn't add a whole hell of a lot. I wonder if there's a fresh start trade where Zegras goes there, but I don't know.
A lot of people asking, Ty Smith and Cassie saying, hey, you guys want more likes? Maybe Steve should pay up for that pie to the face.
Yeah, we got to do that on an
true.
episode before the summer ends.
Yeah.
We will do that. We owe you a pie to the face.
Doug
Day
Leaf,
before the cleaning crew comes.
Doug Leaf
Yes.
fan, I love this question. This is such a Leaf fan question. Tavares for Kadri?
No.
Wood.
No.
Here, wait. Let me do the meme. Wood.
By the way, I just want to remind people, Nazem Kadri's 34.
It hurts my heart.
He's
the same age as John.
Yeah.
John. We're
Um,
first name basis now.
Silent Rob wanted to know about your thoughts on the extension for Saros. I think you already gave them, but at some point on some
Good.
video. Good. It's a good thing. No, but the 7.74 because he's got his number in it.
Oh, bad.
Andrew Doucette, which was a better signing, Big Z or Hakanpää? And Big Z not being Zadorov has asked the Boston media not to call him Big Z because that was Zdeno's name. So he apparently General Za is going to be his new name because it's a
All right,
Superman
you're
reference.
pushing.
Anyway,
Well,
Big
what
Z or
about Medium Z?
Big Z or Hakanpää?
I wish he stayed in Vancouver. Then he could have been Big Zed.
uh,
That's clever. So you should laugh harder at that if you're at home. Hakanpää's a better player.
Okay. Is the Tanev deal the most obvious attempt at cap circumvention we have? This is from Adam Niclero. Vegas and Tampa utilize it with players in their prime and already signed, while Toronto is signing UFA with clear intent. Well, here's the problem with that is you actually have to go in. I saw the Frank Saravalli tweet yesterday. I think we all did.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go in with, if you're the NHL, irrefutable proof that was the goal. And you can speculate all you want, but unless there's something written down where Brad Treliving goes, he will not play years 4 and 5 of this, and we are circumventing the cap in writing, then you have no irrefutable proof. And by the way, the NHL doesn't want to bother. They don't care. The NHLPA doesn't care. The player gets paid. Everybody wins here if we all just look the other way.
We've already established that even if there was proof, it doesn't matter.
Yes.
There's proof that Colin Campbell tried to ruin the reputation of a ref who tried to call penalties against his son. And also he held a grudge from when he was a coach against a player. And the theory is it may have affected the decision as to whether or not the player who was the offender got suspended. And he was caught red-handed in emails. And the NHL went,
Right.
And he was awarded with a trip to the Hockey Hall of Fame. So I tell you what, even if there is proof, go Leafs, go.
Do you think that Liljegren signed to $3 million makes him more attractive as a trade piece?
What?
From Robert? No, you don't think so?
No, it infinitely less attractive.
Okay.
He made 1.4 as a not everyday player, and now he makes 3 as a hopefully everyday player.
Coyote says, Drew, why does SDPN hate the Avs? No Drouin talk. We're happy for Jonathan Drouin.
Oh,
Noted Alan Walsh.
Oh yeah, we didn't make any videos today. You're right.
Here's the thing. The Avs can't do anything, and Tim F. asks about this. What can the Avs do with literally no cap space? What they did, nothing. They can't do anything. They're going to have to wait.
They extended him.
Yeah, but they've got LTIR guys that may or may not come back, and that's frozen them. What are you going to do?
They do need to figure some things out.
Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, JPix94 grippers at 2K.
I'm not doing
2K likes.
I'm not doing it.
You won't put them out?
This hour-long stream is now an hour 41 deep, and I gotta pee.
Okay, is that what it is? So you want to wrap it up? All right, fine. Hey, so this is our podcast for Monday. We will be back Wednesday and Friday this week.
Do we have anything to talk about?
Oh, we're gonna have some stuff to talk about.
Oh,
Jeff Skinner playing with Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner. Get ready.
Oh, I was talking about the depressing stuff, but yeah, hopefully we're talking about Jeff Skinner.
The news dump stuff. Yeah, we'll get to that next episode.
SDP
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.
Sorry. Thank you, Drew.
She's just like famous now, right? Like
She's made $80,000 off of that video.
good for her.
She's